Greetings all, Devious Monkey here. Today I want to talk about selling gear. What do you do with all of the gear that you don't use anymore? Now, it should be no surprise to anybody that I spend a lot of money on a lot of different gear. Just from what I told you the other day about how many cameras I bought over the past couple of years ought to be an indication. The other indication is all back here. Over various videos you've seen all the crap that gets stored up there that eventually I have to clean up and move around. I've always been that way. I always tend to be fairly excessive and I buy a lot of toys. But again, that's what I do because I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't go on vacations, I don't buy clothes, I don't spend money on anything other than toys. All that being said, there comes a time where you kind of have to purge what you've got, especially if you're not using it, and you have to be realistic about it. Now, a lot of the stuff that I buy, especially that I bought once I started getting into photography, collected over years because I didn't know what I was doing. So I was buying lenses and, you name it, any associated gear for lights, audio, backdrops, reflection, remote firing, cables. Oh my God, there's just so much stuff that I bought. When I moved here, I remember that I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to get rid of. And at the time, I really wanted to buy a Panasonic GH3 because I was still fairly serious about, being a filmmaker. And at the time, that was the camera to get. It was just too expensive for me and I couldn't afford it. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get rid of some of my gear and I'll be able to then get it. At the time, one of the few places that were buying things back was Adorama. So I sent a big ass box of stuff to Adorama and they assessed it and they gave me a price. And I was like, awesome. Well, I remember I was in a training session after I had gotten this job. So I was back in Chicago and I got a phone call from Adorama, going over everything with me. And they had told me the price initially through an email. And then the guy on the phone quoted me way less. And I wait a minute, how did we get here? And he said, well, like we told you, we give you 70%. And I was like, well, I would have expected then that the quote you gave me was the amount after, you did your math and you gave 70%. And he's like, oh no, I don't know why they told you that. The age old thing of, oh, I don't know who told you that or why they told you that. So I was pretty pissed because it was significantly less than I was expecting to get, which means I couldn't buy anything that I wanted to get. And I was like, you know what, just send me the damn money and we're over it. So I forgot about it for a long time. Then, this might have been 2 years ago, and I was living here actually in this place. And I had a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, okay, there were a couple of lenses that I wanted to get. And it wasn't that I didn't have the money, but I thought, you know what, why don't I get rid of some of this crap that I've got laying around? So I put together like a package of what I wanted to get rid of. And now at this point, there's a few places that buy stuff back. After researching, I found Adorama and a place called KEH. So I got quotes from both places. The quote from Adorama was higher, significantly. But dumb monkey, I forgot that they didn't give me the final figure after they did their math. So I was talking to a guy on the phone and he said, do you have anything else? And I go, dude, I've got boxes of stuff. And he's like what? And I started telling him, he goes, dude, send it all to me. He goes, I'll send you as many shipping labels as you want. Send me as much as you've got. And, we'll go from there. So I had my original quote of what they were going to give me. And then I sent him 2 additional boxes filled with all kinds of stuff. I had pocket wizards, cables. I even had not gimbals, but the stabilizers and all that kind of stuff, pre-gimbal stuff. I had a whole bunch of stuff. I sent him 3 boxes worth of stuff. 1 of my original stuff and then 2 additional boxes. In the end, called me and the quote they gave me for all 3 boxes was less than the original amount. And I was like, okay, what the frick? Dude, how did we get here to being less than what was originally quoted. And he says, well, we give you 70% of what we quote. And I was like, oh, I fucking forgot about that. I was like, dude, that's messed up. You guys need to stop doing that shit. I mean, the quote that you give needs to be the money that you're going to pay. Because now at this point, and this is what I figure happens, is that they've already got your stuff. And they're holding it out, and they're like, okay, here's the amount we're going to give you. Yeah, it's less than we told you, but, you know, that's because we give 70%. If you want, I can box it all back and ship it back to you. Knowing that probably 9 times out of 10, someone's just going to take the money rather than go through the hassle of getting all that crap back, because now you got to go through the rigmarole with another company. So at the time, I said, you know what? Go ahead and just keep it all. I mean, I figured it was junk and it's been sitting in drawers for several years at this point, and I just wanted to be rid of it. So I took the money, and now dumb monkey remembers. Never, ever work with Adorama again, because that pissed me off. Twice they did it to me. First time, okay. Second time, I'm the dummy. But I know now better than to send it to them. So then, go a little bit forward. I have an excessive amount of gear. A lot of gear that I'm not going to use. You know, I said I got rid of the G85, the G7, some lenses, blah, blah, blah. And I was able to go online to KEH, fill in by model number what I have, and they give you an instant quote. Now, of course, they do say it needs to be inspected when we get it. You know, and it's just like when you trade your car in and you go on to Blue Book online, Kelly Blue Book, you always sort of like, oh no, it's in excellent condition. There's hardly any marks on it whatsoever. You know, you got to be realistic when you're given the assessment. So I sent it in, and it's never wavered from what they had originally quoted, because I take care of my gear and I also describe it like I feel that it is. And the quote they give you is the amount of money that you're going to friggin' get. None of that, oh, well, that's not, you know, that's before the 70%. Bullshit. So I ended up sending them all this stuff, and there was a sizable amount of money. And I was like, I know I wanted a lens. And at the time, it was before my wife went on her trip to Italy, and I had bought her a Fuji camera that she wanted. And I was like, if you want, I can get you a lens. You know, I mean, I'm just going to spend the money anyway, so I might as well get us both something that we want. So I ended up getting her a lens and me a lens, you know, and it was a flawless deal. I mean, it was so easy. Again, you go online, you type in what you got, they give you an instant quote, and then you send it to them, they give you a label, you box it up, ship it to them, then they go over everything, and then they get back to you and say, all right, we've assessed it, here's what you're going to get. And then you can either have them send you a check, I think they might even deposit by PayPal, or you can do a trade for gear. Now, I was watching somebody online recently, which is how this came up, and she said that she ended up selling a bunch of gear to KEH several times now. And yes, you get less than you could probably get if you sold it yourself, but then you got to deal with selling it yourself. You got to go through eBay or Craigslist or any one of a you know, dozen places, but you got to deal with all that bullshit. Yes, I will get less money for my equipment, but it is a very easy process, and there's no bullshit. And I think that KEH gives fair prices, and they don't try to BS you by fudging the math and waiting until you get it. Sorry, Adorama. I know I buy shit from you, and I have bought from you in the past, but I don't play that. That's bullshit. You need to stop that. I'm going to go to KEH. That's really all I wanted to talk about. I just sort of wanted to give an unsponsored plug to KEH. I don't want to, and it's not like I'm bashing Adorama. I just didn't care for the way they went about mind-fucking me with the whole 70% thing. I think that's bullshit. I think that they should give you the price that they're going to give you, not here's the price. Oh, by the way, now we got to subtract out the stuff to get 70%. And that's it. So thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, all that shit. And remember, kids, forward and up.